Hi, it's Gus again. This is a video which follows up immediately on the Handy People LBX tile menu video, which I did a few minutes ago. The date is still the 17th of July, and now it's 3:56. And the application I've loaded now is called HNDDOCUMENTBUILDER.APP. And this is an application with which you can build generated HTML code using XML templates that I'm building or that you could build, and by filling in bits of information into embed areas inside this XML template, you can generate varieties of HTML. So I'm simply, in this case, going to touch on running this application and loading the XML file that represents the tile menus for Handy LBX, Handy People LBX. So the menu I want to show you first is Open XML Source Template. That immediately takes you to Accessory Hand XML, and the file that I want is 000 Handy People LBX, and you can guess why I started these with 000. So the ones that I think you need to look at I start with 000, and they sort to the top. So let's just load this template, and that takes us into CHT code documentation editor, and then you will see what is basically XML with tags, and these tags represent various parts of the application that appear on the window. For instance, here's the name Handy People LBX. This is about Handy People LBX, and that's the name of the application I'm talking about. And here is the hotkeys that appear in the window. So this is page title overlay, and this is page title overlay sub, which is a sub menu of the overlay. So if I preview this using this first menu, generate XML to HTML for CHT HTML document builder, there's your tile menu. Now this tile menu is running, in this case, inside CHT HTML previewer utility. So when I click on these menus don't go anywhere because there's no code underneath here to make them go anywhere. That code is intended, this is intended strictly for preview. What will this look like when I preview it? And I can reshape this window, and as you can see, this will behave exactly like the application that it's intended to run in. But again, I should reiterate that when I click on these menus, they don't go anywhere because there's no code underneath here to make the menu do anything. The code that one would react to these menus for can be either in Clarion code if I'm running this inside a Clarion application, or it could be JavaScript code if I'm running it inside a browser. And further templates and techniques that I will show you will help you react to these menus in either Clarion code with some Clarion code templates, or in JavaScript and HTML code for running inside a browser. So this is the application in text format inside the XML file that represents the template for this page. And some of these tags spots are not being used. I've got a test in there to I don't think that is displaying. Let's just see. No, see that that one has been disabled for this particular, that embed slot has been disabled for this particular application. And here in message area 1, I have the actual menus, and I need to explain a little bit how these menus work. So this is XML code or HTML code representing a link, an image, a link, an href, an ahref. Again, if you don't know what this is, I can't help you, or this explanation won't help you. I can only help you to the point that you develop some XML or HTML knowledge. This is an image link, and there's the image here. This represents the exit image, and that's sitting on my drive in the same directory as this HTML application when it generates. I can help you further with this portion of the code by providing you a clearing template to actually generate this XML, this HTML. But if you know a little bit of HTML, very little in fact, you could build one of these menus double quick simply by copying this particular application and filling in your own information. This string here is the same string that I showed you earlier on the exit menu. It's just a string, and all it does, the string ends up inside your application on the event I pointed out, and that string is there for you to intercept to tell you what is it that he clicked on, and then you can run whatever it is you plan to click. So you could emulate this menu very quickly simply by putting your own information in here. This title thingy here is basically the tooltip that appears, and I guess I didn't show you that in the previous application, but when you hold your cursor over any of those tiles, you get a tooltip, and this is the specific image. That image can be anything that you need to represent what it is that you're clicking on. There's the form factor 1, changes the window to a tall. It says this tile adjusts screen size to a tall narrow format. Form factor 2, this tile adjusts screen to a tall but wider format. Form factor 3, and so on, to a wider window. And there's the login server link, the logout server link. There's the local fill from file procedure. There's the local browse fill dual join procedure. Fill from view dual joined. There's the browse LBX fill from CHT server procedure. There's the dual remote fill from server procedure. And here are the HTML pages that I was flipping to. So those menus are all identical. The only thing that varies, the code is identical. The only thing that varies is the page you're going to, or the application, a string to represent the application that you're executing. Now, again, if an A link is gobbledygook to you, you can simply use this file here that I've provided for handy people, LBX, save it under a different name that has your app, and then change these strings to represent the applications that you want to launch from your master application. There's a lot of tags in here that I'm not using. I don't have a footer in here. I have various examples of these tags in use and not in use. And there's a CSS include section here. This excuse me, this represents what the HTML looks like, and this is basically CSS, cascading style sheets. CSS is infinitely variable to represent different styles. It's like coloring your window blue and green, and having the window a certain size or not a certain size, or having the window flexible, and so on and so forth. So this represents the HTML layout format. Just to give you an example, the body height is auto, which means the body height can be any height that you make it, that the user makes it by stretching the window, and that the background color of the window is silver, and its width is 100%. 100% of whatever width you make it stays that way. And there's a body, CHT body section in here, and header section, and so on, and with different colors depending on again, totally under your control. And that, in fact, is no different. It's just a way of describing a window. It's really no different than when you go down in here in a Clarion application. And look at this gobbledygook. That represents the window and the various fonts and the colors and the icons and so on. So you can't tell me this is any more obscure, or HTML is more obscure than Clarion code. The only difference is Clarion does a lot of this stuff for you and provides an editor or a screen editor that lets you drag stuff around and see what it looks like when you mess with the code. Well, this is no different. You can mess with this CSS and the strings on the window here to your heart's content, and the instant that you do something, you can see what that looks like on the screen. So you get immediate feedback simply by executing this menu preview, and there's a hotkey here, F5, to see what you've done to the window and what your text and what your various tiles and so on will look like before you run them inside your application. And that's Handy Document Builder. There are any number of examples that I have here for you to play with. I even have this application hooked into our UCR data or into our data server with a UCR, and there's one in here that you can try. I'll give you that login, or actually the login uses your user login, so you don't need to know that login. It will pull that information from your drive, and if I say auto generate a CHT receipt, it's asking me for my email address. You punch in your email address and you will see a receipt here for your subscription payment. There are a number of different procedures or HTML files that you can execute here done for you. You can look at the code for that receipt with this open XML CHT receipt. And I have a sample receipt in here. I shouldn't leave that one in there. It should be mine. And again, the CSS section. There isn't much to this receipt other than different labels in the boxes, and I can preview that. As you can see, the data is missing in this case until I execute the remote procedure call, and that is a remote procedure call to our application. So there's a few different examples of things that you can do. Eventually, this document builder will help you build HTML that will execute inside your Clarion application the way I'm doing with the tile menus, but also that will execute in the browser and do remote procedure calls to your various data servers. And so that gives us lots of flexibility for future ideas that we can use to build pure browser-based apps, but in a way that is more Clarion-like than writing reams of JavaScript code the way that we tend to do it now. And that's all for Handy Document Builder. We'll catch you in the next video. I wanted in the next video talk about another tile menu app that we've provided in Build 21C for to illustrate tile menus. And we'll catch you in the next video.